5 people have died in a house fire in Ndwedwe in KwaZulu-Natal. Residents in the area called emergency services after they heard people screaming for help from inside the house. ENCA reporter Dasan Tatia is on that story and joins me now from Ndwedwe. Dasan, can you tell us how this tragic situation played out?
Horrible story indeed, Anli, and behind me is that house that you were referring to, and that's where those 5 victims were. Those are 4 children as well as 1 adult that was trapped in one room of that house. And as you can see, the community is gathered here. They've been here for the past few hours after that news broke and spread through the community. They're all in shock, just not understanding exactly what had happened. Just while I'm talking to you now, I see on my left here that the mortuary services vehicle has also arrived now, presumably to collect those bodies that are inside. But let me bring into the conversation now Devin Perumal. He's one of the first paramedics that was on scene. He's with Reaction Unit SA. Devin, when you got that call and you arrived here, just describe to me what you saw when you got to the scene.
Okay, when we entered the yard, we found that the house was entirely engulfed in flames. Huge flames coming out through the windows, doors, through the roof. And members of public frantically ran to us and told us that there's people trapped in the house, 4 of them being children and 1 adult. And paramedics and members of the public, we tried to gain access and extinguish the fire, but the flames were extremely huge. And we called on for the fire department. They stood down and they managed to extinguish the fire and then gain entry into the house.
What was making it difficult for them to gain entry into the house?
The house had huge burglar guards to protect most probably criminals from entering the residence, as well as huge gates with huge padlocks and stuff like that. So they were mounted into the wall with the heavy-duty bolts and nuts. So we found it hard. The fire department had to use pneumatic tools to cut the gates and gain entry even after the fire was extinguished.
But by that point, sadly, it was too late.
Yes, it was. When we managed to gain entry into the house, we found 4 teenagers and 1 adult lying in one room, all deceased at that point, severely burnt.
Devin, I'm just going to show our viewers what's playing out now behind us while we continue our conversation. What do we know about the victims? Were they related? Was that a parent that was with them at the time?
Yes, they were all relatives. 3 were siblings, and their dad was in the house, and 1 was a cousin, which were in the house at the time of the fire.
I know this may be a bit beyond what you normally do, but just you were here on the scene, so I imagine that you would have engaged with people that were here. Is there any cause that we can think of for now? I mean, I know that there is an investigation, but just from what you've established when you were here.
At this moment, it's not confirmed how this fire started. We do know that this is a local tuck shop. They sell daily household goods. Also, the sale of different types of fuels as well as gas, which that's the information the public has given to us. So it could have started from there, but it's unconfirmed at this stage.
And in addition to those 5 victims that we know of, was there anyone else that had to be treated?
The grandmother and mother of the deceased victims were on scene. They were treated by Reaction Unit paramedics for shock and stuff like that. And they were transported to a local by house where they are resting currently.
Okay, thank you very much for your time, Devin Perumal. Anli, as you heard there, just something really sad coming out of that. He mentioned that they had these thick burglar guards and padlocks there, presumably for safety. And ironically, that was also what had prevented the community members from getting in time to save them. Really, really sad story. And we will continue to watch this and perhaps try to speak to some of these community members later on this evening.
Well, thank you very much for that update and for bringing us those tragic details. Dasan Tatia coming to us from Ndwedwe.